Hey guys, Zach here, and today I want to talk about how you can learn to play by ear and why this is way more important than being able to play with sheet music on most modern worship teams. So 20 years ago, I remember watching as I was growing up, it was a lot more common, no matter the size of church, to have orchestras, choirs. Typically, chord charts were actually less common. You were using more lead sheets or even full sheet music. And just to be clear, when I say chord charts, I'm saying lyrics with chords on top. When I'm saying lead sheets, I'm saying chords on top, but following with music staffs and a vocal line, and sometimes a vocal trio actually in the notes in the sheet music. And then when I say sheet music, I'm talking about full classical style. Maybe it's choir anthems or Christmas orchestra pieces, or even with just modern or the worship songs that were kind of contemporary at the time, having full sheet music. It was much more important back then to be able to play with sheet music. And I played classical piano for 14 years. I'm not saying it's ultimately not what I ended up calling me to do, but it's so valuable to have as a foundation. I'm incredibly grateful for it. It's important to know how to play with sheet music if you're especially going to be playing in situations where like orchestras, choirs, things like that. But if you're playing just in a modern worship team, I would encourage you to focus heavily on learning music theory and learning to hear the music theory by ear. And the reason for this is that on most worship teams, if you can hear Nashville Numbers by ear, and when I say Nashville Numbers, I'm talking about a system that applies to every key. It's actually, once you get it, it becomes really intuitive to understand how music works. When you can hear this system of chords by ear, then all of a sudden you start to hit very easily. It becomes so much easier to memorize. It becomes so much easier to, if you're in a situation where you have to transpose a chord chart and you don't have the chord chart in the right key, you don't need it. Like most of the time, when a lot of times at the end of services right now, I'm picking a song during the sermon to try and match with it, try and be responsive to the Holy Spirit. A lot of times I don't print out a chord chart with it, I just bring the lyrics up. Why? Well, because I know what the chords in Nashville Numbers sound like. I don't need the chords necessarily. Like I know the framework of the key, I know the Nashville number system, I can hear it by ear. So most of the time, as long as I have the lyrics just as a backup, because they may or may not be on the back confidence monitor, just as a backup, I can pull something out pretty quickly and play it basically without a full chord chart. And sometimes I don't even need, a lot of times now I'm going, memorized, because just fully memorized, because it makes, I think, for much freer worship leading in general. However, it really becomes much harder if you can't hear the theory by ear. So this is why, if you're really wanting to get worship, serve on a worship team and get to the point where you're feeling free and comfortable and not having to stress about like what notes are in what chord or what chord should I be going to next. You want it to feel intuitive. I would really encourage you to focus on music theory, Nashville Numbers, being able to hear scale degrees and chords in the Nashville Number system by ear. If you're looking for a resource for this, I have a music theory and ear training course which will help you learn to understand the Nashville Number system and really the ear training of how do I hear scale degrees by ear. If that sounds foreign, don't worry, it's not that complicated. It's this idea that every scale can be broken down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and you learn to hear those numbers as we go. So I'd really encourage you to check this out. It's not supposed to be boring. Music theory doesn't have to be boring. It's actually the gateway by which you can learn anything else. If you want to learn multiple instruments, you really need to learn music theory, because it's going to help you do that so much more effectively. So I hope you check it out. Regardless of whether you use my resource or not, please, if you're on a worship team, learning music theory will help you. I really, obviously, I'm biased. I'd love if you take my course, but at the end of the day, take something. You know, this is something that will help you, I promise. The only instrument that it is less helpful for is drums. It's helpful in rhythm, but drums don't deal with chords, and you know it's pretty much entirely rhythm. So everything else it has a huge impact on. So I hope you check it out, and if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.